Welcome to I Hope This Helps. We have an exciting guest today. We have my friend here, Jose Solorzano. Jose, thanks for coming. Please tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name's Jose. I work for a bank. I'm a vice president, special assets and lending. We do troubled asset restructuring, anything foreclosures, uh, bad debt, modifications, stuff like that. So soup to nuts regarding real estate improprieties or issues with customers that can't make mortgage payments.
Okay. How long have you been doing this for?
Oh my God, I've been working in banking since I got out of college, which was, oh my God, 84, 90, something like that.
Okay. And you've been doing this specific type of work?
No, I started doing like regular credit stuff with like the large department stores. If somebody wanted to buy a fur, I wanted to buy say furniture, I would give them the available credit in order for them to buy it. And then I just branched out from there once I finished school, and then started working at a bank, and I've been doing banking ever since. Everything was always collections, and now I went over to the retail side and do everything from mortgage collections to home equity loans, stuff like that. I was on the back end too, doing stuff like that, closing home equity loans. But so I've done a little bit of everything.
Okay. So talking about, let's just get right into it, right? Foreclosures, right? Short sales, modifications. So you've seen it from, the worst of times, let's say
Yes.
'08, right?
Yes.
Compared to today in 2025. Um, Obviously, you went, in '08, there was so much going on, and I'm sure you were busy trying to handle things. The sky was falling. Compared to today, that it doesn't, the foreclosure activity is very low, correct?
Yeah, I actually went through it twice. The first time was through the savings and loan scenario back in the 90s.
Okay.
And that I remember having maybe 200 REOs that we had to get rid of. It was like foreclosures like nonstop. There was a lot of stuff going on with mortgage companies, banks, a lot of fraudulent stuff that was going on. Fraudulent appraisals, the properties didn't be appraised right, no doc loans, stuff like that. You remember those days.
No.
So then, and then again in 2008 when the market crashed, and then that was bad too. But I'm surprised now. I'm not, I can honestly tell you, I have not had an REO property since 2023.
Okay.
24 was clear. 25 so far so good. And I'm surprised because I think a lot of things now are the prices of the interest rates are too high, and people rather maybe invest in their property a little bit more, fix it up a little bit. Home equity loans right now are booming, more than mortgages are. So supply out there is very low. So that's why I think people are staying with their homes and just refurbishing them or renovating them. But I'm surprised that people have bounced back and are not in the financial struggles I thought they would be. There are late payments. There are people you have to jump on sometimes and stay on them, but they usually recover. I'll give them a couple months. And I try to work with people as much as I can. I don't, buying a home is probably one of your biggest investments, and you don't want to get to the point where you're going to lose your home. And I don't want anybody to lose their home. So I help you every day, every night to save your home. And not many bankers will do that. It's a business. I'm working for the bank, to protect the bank. But at the end of the day, it's a person you're dealing with, and now your problems become my problems, and I will try to resolve it as best as I can.
Okay, that's awesome. You said a mouthful there, so
Yeah.
let me distinguish it
Sure.
here. All right, so you're surprised, but you're not, right? Because I feel like the difference between '08 and now, for example, I'm not going to speak about the savings and loans
Yeah.
crisis, is obviously back in the day in '08, there was more supply than there was actual demand, right?
Yes.
And now it's the opposite.
the opposite.
The supply and demand is upside down. Qualifying purposes, it was so much easier to qualify then. Like, hey, you have a pulse, you have a job, you're qualified. Oh, you don't have a you don't have a job, don't worry, you're still qualified.
That's right.
Well, your rate just was a little bit more terrible. 100% financing, everything like that. Now people go through. There are minimum down payment loans, but you're looking at credit check, you're looking at income, you're putting them in tougher ratios. Plus, anyone that's bought in, and do get in trouble, well, don't they have so much time that they will actually could sell their home or get into like a home equity beforehand and save themselves in that aspect?
Well, if you're having problems already with your mortgage, no one's going to give you a home equity loan.
Okay, so hopefully somebody's smart enough to get before they get
before
into
they
it.
get into it. But,
Yeah,
but
of
you know,
course.
some people wait. You know, they don't think that it's going to become an issue.
Okay.
And by the time they realize it's too late. You know,
Okay.
everything now. Your whole opportunity to either sell the property, or have the time to sell the property, or to get out of it. It's just too late. You can't do anything because your credit's already shot. Nowadays, you're 30 days once, and they'll deny you.
Yeah, of course. Now on that aspect, okay, but everything else.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about everything else? The stuff for qualifying purposes, and there being so much equity in people's properties that if they do get in trouble, they can always list and sell it before it even gets to the point that they're 120 days
Yeah.
behind. Or in the state of New Jersey, how long does it take to foreclose on
Well,
someone?
usually in 90 days you get a notice of intent to foreclose, and then they give you another 30 days to either rectify it, answer it, or do something about it. And if not, then that goes right to foreclosure action, and then it's about a year.
Oh wow, it's sped up a lot.
Yeah, it's about a year, and then you throw in the back and forth and bankruptcies and this and that, and yeah, it's about a year.
Wow. Yeah, at one point it was like 7 to 10 years.
Yeah. It's pretty quick. It's not as long as it used to be before.
Of course, there's also not that many people getting foreclosed on.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, everything's moving through the system pretty quick. For a while, during COVID, there was a backlog. Everybody had to wait. People were 3-4 months out from more than maybe a year and a half or more.
Yeah, and they would also do forbearances and stuff that.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to allow them if they could show proof that they got in trouble with COVID.
That's right.
Okay, so, these assets, the troubled ones that you do have to deal with, right? If, let's say, I, Eric Silva, got into a little bit of trouble, and, our first instinct is to ignore the phone call, not to deal with it, right? What would you suggest to someone like me?
That's just human nature, just to avoid it because you have issues as it is. I would probably be proactive. I'd probably call the bank and say, listen, this is what's happening. Is there anything you can do to help me out? And then I want to hear what your problem is. And then think about it, and then, maybe talk to my team about it if it's something crazy, or just give a suggestion and just get more information from them as to how long this is going to be for, what transpired that's causing this. Is it job related? Is it, family related, divorce situations, anything like that, Sometimes it's education, paying for the kids' college and stuff. So you really have to get in-depth as to what people are going through, and then try to find a solution for them that's comfortable for everybody. You want them to make their payments, of course. You don't want to kill them with fees or anything like that. So you want to make it manageable.
Okay, so, for example, someone gets sick. I'm sure there's, that's a legit reason, and why they got into trouble. They're not working as much. They have to. They found out they have cancer. They're doing chemo and all that stuff. They're not. Their income is a lot less, right? Now, I'm sure you've had cases like that in the past.
Yeah.
What would you do for someone like that?
In a situation like that, we would sometimes look at the entire, see how long the illness is going to take, or how long they're going to be in the situation. Usually, we'll go maybe 12 months interest only, and then relook at it again after the 12 months to see what the situation is, and go from there. More than likely, they'll probably have to pay their interest and their taxes, and then we'll just tack on the principal at the end. But we'll try to work as much as we can with them. It just depends on the situation. Hardships with like that, illnesses are hard to determine. Sometimes they have to have an idea of, would it be best if I just sell the property? If I, God forbid something happens, do they have insurance? If God forbid the other person dies, or just a lot of thought goes into it. So you really have to be careful as to how you approach it, and like I said, best case scenario for the customer and for the bank at the end of the day.
You deal with a lot in commercials as well, right?
A little bit of commercial. I dabble in it once in a while. Sometimes some homes are kind of mixed in, cross-collateralized with commercial stuff, and I have to, dig into the residential side of it. And then you follow the same residential foreclosure procedures because they're much different than commercial.
Okay, so you said you haven't gotten anything much, right? So let's say after COVID, what are some scenarios that you've seen and, what you had to deal with?
Well, with COVID, there were a lot of people that took advantage of the situation. Some of them were, some of they were factual. Things were going to happen. Some people just took advantage of it. Because other people were getting a break, they thought they could get a break with. How do you make a difference? How do you differentiate that between an honest customer, a customer just trying to get away with not making their payments for the next 3 months? So you have to evaluate the situation, but you're hoping that they're saying the right thing. And then what happens is after a few months, they come back and they're like, well, "We still can't make a mortgage payment." And how could that be? So a lot of the COVID deferments usually went about 6 months. You started off at 3, they'll come back again if something didn't work out, give them another 3 months. But in the long run, it's worked out pretty well. I haven't had many customers that have come back and says, "I can't make my mortgage payments." Maybe they all want another extension, but for the most part, everybody's kept their word and come through with it. But there are some exceptions where people just like, Bobby down the street got 3 months. Why can't I get 3 months? Well, you're not in the situation Bobby down the street's in. He lost his job. You haven't lost your job, or something like that. His hours got cut. You haven't got your hours cut. But it's like, you just want to, get the 3 month no payment deferment. But what are you going to? It's just nature.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that is the case.
Yeah,
And a
that
lot
is
of
the
people are
case.
taking it, and they thought the money was maybe totally forgiven, not realizing that they still owe that money. Instead of saving it to the side,
Yeah.
they were just going there, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh man, I owe $15,000, and I don't have that money to pay for it. So now I have this new balance, and whatever the case may be.
Yeah, some banks worked it out differently. Some banks wanted you to bring it current, all the interest or principal that was forgiven for a while. They wanted it up front once you became current or your period ended. We just tacked it on to the end. We just extended the maturity, and that was it.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, now for investors and stuff like that. Let's say someone is looking to get properties off market or try to buy pools of money and stuff like that. Do you have any, advice for people like that, like to build relationships and
Yeah,
stuff?
we build a lot of relationships like that, especially on the commercial side. And we have on our team, we have a group that deals with investors and selling portfolios to different companies, different investors, depending on what their portfolio is, what their interests are, if we have anything to sell. On the commercial side, it's so we got a lot of stuff in New York, and it's the laws and politics and everything that goes into a commercial property in New York is heavy. So we usually try to find buyers for those properties rather than get into the whole legal mess of it, and just get out of it before it becomes too much to deal with.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a department that just deals with investors. If we have portfolios, we put them together, put them out there, and try to get rid of them if we can. It's more commercial. I don't have that much on the residential side at all. It's mostly usually commercial stuff.
Okay. So what else do you like to do as a hobby?
I'm a cyclist.
Okay.
You know that. And then I raced all over the country. I raced in Portugal,
Okay.
your country,
Absolutely.
British Columbia. I've been, yeah.
And what got you into that?
Back in 2003, I was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And so I was trying to find a way to get my body back in shape. And somebody had done some kind of, just what I want to use, a triathlon in my honor to raise money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And in the back of my mind, when you're ill, the last thing you want to do is raise money, talk about the disease. And I said, I'm never going to do that. So as you get better, you're like, man, I got to give back, because that person did. So I wasn't about to swim, and I wasn't about to run. I played soccer of my life as well. And I said, well, I used to bike a lot. Maybe I'll try that. Well, what I thought was easy, it's not that easy,
Of course.
So I've been doing it since 2005. 20 years I've been cycling, and I started off doing these small little endurance things, and then racing, and then crits, and I'm out there now gravel racing, and I'm leaving for Kansas in a couple of weeks for a race called Unbound, which they call the Super Bowl of gravel.
Wow.
So all the elite riders, people that used to do Tour de France, people that are athletes, Olympic athletes, they're in the elite group, and it's a big thing.
How big?
You're looking at maybe 3,000 participants, anything from 25 miles to the XL is 350 miles.
Which one are you doing?
I'm doing the 100. We were supposed to do 200, but the weather this year hasn't cooperated. As you know, it's been really bad here in Jersey. It's hard to train and it's hard to get the mileage you need to do a 200-mile race.
And you said you have a team?
I travel with 2 or 3 other friends. We decide what we want to do. But every group of people, I ride with different groups all the time. But there are 3 or 4 friends I travel with a lot. You have to really rely on people. You have to be confident with them. You have to trust them, especially when you're on the road in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that everybody's looking out for each other. And I would trust them with my life.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Now, that's an expensive hobby right nowadays, because I was speaking to someone, they're doing that triathlon thing, and they were like, oh, why don't you bike with me? I'm like, I'm not going to be able to keep up. I'm like, out of curiosity, what does your bike cost? He's like, 15 grand. I was like, that is crazy.
I mean, if you're going to spend a lot of money like that, I mean, I think for people who want to start cycling, I think they should start off small. Maybe not a Walmart bike, but maybe like a $400 or $500 bike, maybe at Trek. And then try that first, and then if you enjoy it, then get a bigger bike. Because people start off with like these $5,000-$6,000 bikes, and they don't ride them, and they're sitting there doing nothing. But yeah, they can go up to from $6,000 to $15,000 in a minute.
It's all about the gears, right? That's what.
All about the gears, the carbon, the weight of the bike. Right now, everybody's into electronic shifting. So everything's electronic. Your shifting is precise. Gravel bikes, I just bought a gravel bike. I just bought a new road bike.
Okay.
All electronic shifting, and it's great. I mean, if you're gonna race, if you're gonna do stuff like this, you need something that's gonna able to get you through the process or do the race.
Yeah, no, of course, I understand you. You're doing it 20 years. You're serious about it. 100 miles. That's no joke. That's no thing.
But for a regular person, I would say start off with a smaller bike.
Okay.
Less expensive one. And if you love it and you like what you do and you want to go into more stuff and that's more challenging, you need a lighter bike, you need a faster bike, you're more fit. And that's the other aspect of it. You stay fit. You keep the weight off. I'm riding usually maybe 10, 15 miles in a day. Nice. And on the weekends, it's 60, 50, 80, whatever it takes to train for whatever you're training for.
Yeah, I've seen your diet. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Go to Krugs and
don't
get a butt.
Eric will never forgive me for the Krug situation last year. Yeah. I was training for a race, and it was like right before, and we went to Krug's, and you could tell the story.
Oh, we go to Krug's, and, you literally ordered a burger without a bun, and I was like, what's going on? And I swore that day I would never go back with you, but you promised that you're going to get one with a bun today.
Yeah, with everything today. I'm going all in today.
All right, there you go.
I think I've trained enough this week that I could eat that.
All right, now you do me a favor. Let's wrap this up in a few minutes. And what advice would you have someone that's struggling with their mortgage, right? Mm-hmm. And then what advice would you have for someone that's looking to invest, either, it pools of money or trying to buy stuff like off market and everything like that? Give me your thoughts.
Let's start with the investment side. I think as an investor, you should always have a good contact with somebody at the bank. Work well with them. Don't a lot of these investors are bottom feeders. And so you really have to know guys that really want to do this and really are invested in making money for themselves and buying a pool and really want to buy a portfolio that they can work with. And that's great, But I think in that aspect of it, you just have to make sure you have a good connection with somebody at the bank.
And when you say a portfolio, you're saying a portfolio of properties that are already foreclosed on, or are you speaking about a portfolio of someone trying to take over the payments and they deal with the servicing itself?
On the portfolio, but what I mean is we'll package something up. We'll pick out loans that we have in our portfolio because we'll take this, we'll take that, and we'll bunch it into one little smaller portfolio.
Of course.
Okay, this is what we're selling. Put it out there. See who's interested, and we'll go from there.
Okay. And
as far as a regular customer dealing with struggles, pick up that phone, call the bank, talk to the bank about it. There's a lot of people out there that are going to say, "I'll help you if you give me X amount of money." Don't fall for that. A lot of people they work for themselves. They're not out for your best interest. Some people may lose their homes because they're handing deeds over to these people without knowing. So do your homework. If you have to go to a lawyer, sometimes lawyers have modification people, but definitely walk through your bank because every bank now has a modification department. I mean, we're small. I mean, compared to other banks, we have 5 of us, and I could turn around a short sale in a week because I don't have a lot of red tape to go through.
of
I
course.
make the decision, and that's it. But bigger banks, Bank of America, stuff like that, it takes like a team of a lot of people to say yes. So it takes a while, and you have to be patient. I said, but definitely, step forward and do what you need to do, and realize exactly what you want to do. If you know that you are not going to ever keep this house in the future, just let it go. Sell it before it's too late. Or if you know you're in a problem, sell it before it's too late. People hold on to it, and they'll call maybe a week before the sheriff's sale. I have a buyer. It's sheriff's sale. What do you want me to do? Unless you give me a contract, fully executed, you're going to do something about it, it's going to sell, maybe I'll give you the time. But by that time, usually it's too late. But I always tell people it's frustrating and it's stressful to call the bank. Hopefully you have somebody like me on the other side that is willing to help.
For real.
Not everybody's like me. I'm telling you, I'm probably the friendliest guy that does this business. I'm not out to hurt anybody. If anything, I could try to help people, and I've helped a lot of people. I've heard stuff from people that I haven't heard from again to other people that how much I've helped them.
Yeah.
And that says a lot, and it's I didn't know I know I'm doing my job.
Now, in your industry, is it like like a small industry that your smaller banks know each other and you guys speak amongst each other, or
Yeah,
not really?
I throughout my years of banking, you get to know a lot of bankers. You could probably call, hey, Joe, what do you think about this thing? Or what do you think about this guy? Or I heard he has along with you. And we just talk back and forth and try to get like an idea of what's going on. And we help each other out as much as we can. But yeah, it's and sometimes, you go to a different bank or as you're going through banks, you run into the same customers again. That they're customers at a different bank. And you thought you were done with them, and then here you go again. Here we are again. But yeah, we talk and stuff, and it's always positive talk and how to do your job better. Maybe try this or try that. Maybe this will work. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for
Absolutely.
joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I
And
appreciate
guys,
it.
I hope this helps.